Now, I think this might be my most requested video outside of a Montreal Canadiens rebuild, a Ricky LaFleur career simulation. We all know Ricky LaFleur to be the greatest goaltender of all time. He's made some of the biggest saves of all time, but now it's time to see what his entire career would look like. I've put him into the upcoming draft, and as a 99 overall with 99s across the board, he is only projected to go 3rd overall. The NHL scouts are trying to tell me there is 2 players currently better than Ricky LaFleur. I just want to point out, Ricky LaFleur is literally a 99 across the board in every attribute category. There is no goaltender who has ever been better than Ricky LaFleur. He is literally Marty Brodeur and Patrick Waugh combined with a little bit of Jordan Binnington and then a smidge of the Hamburglar. Ricky LaFleur is the greatest of all time, and we're going to see what his career is going to turn out to be. And we're going to watch as this man ruins the NHL through his historic NHL career. But of course, the first thing we have to do here is simulate the entire year to figure out which team Ricky LaFleur is going to be joining. Okay, so all I can say is this was a very interesting season simulation. The 2025-2026 Calgary Flames are first in the entire league with a 52-25-5 record, followed by the Tampa Bay Lightning and Chicago Blackhawks. That is a very interesting top 3, but we're not focused on the top 3, we're focused on the worst teams, like the Utah Mammoth, San Jose Sharks, Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues, Detroit Red Wings, Seattle Kraken. These are teams that have an opportunity to draft Ricky LaFleur, but who's going to be that team? Which team is going to be winning the NHL draft lottery with a chance of drafting Ricky LaFleur? Well, it looks like it's going to be the Boston Bruins, followed by the San Jose Sharks, Utah Mammoth, St. Louis Blues, Detroit Red Wings. Everyone outside of number 1, it's an absolute shame for you guys. You're going to be missing out on Ricky LaFleur. In saying all of that though, we do have to remember he was projected 3rd overall at the beginning of the season. So did he rise in the draft rankings? Did he fall in the draft rankings? I guess we're about to find out. So we've entered the NHL draft lottery, and with the 1st overall pick, the Boston Bruins will select not Ricky LaFleur, but instead it looks like they're going to be going with a power forward. Zhu Zin is going to be selected 1st overall, so I guess that means with the 2nd overall pick, the San Jose Sharks are going to be selecting Ricky LaFleur, but that's not the case. Hutchins is going to be selected before Ricky LaFleur. What on earth is happening right now? Utah, you have an opportunity to select Ricky LaFleur. He could be a franchise cornerstone for you guys, and it looks like that's who you're going to be selecting. Ricky LaFleur is going to be joining the Utah Mammoth, a 99 overall goaltender, perfect in every aspect of the game. Ignore the fact in juniors he posted an 896 and a 339. Obviously that's not going to happen in the NHL. Ricky is perfect in every aspect of the game, and he's ready to take over this league. Now, Utah is an amazing young team. They have a handful of elite guys in Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Clayton Keller, JJ Peterka. This is a pretty solid team right here. And then when it comes to the defense, you have Sergachev, you have Sean Durzi, you have a couple other guys that can play their role, but now you have the greatest goaltender of all time. Ricky LaFleur's joined the team. Why on earth did you go out and get Jacob Markstrom? You know what? We're not really going to question it too much. Ricky LaFleur is the number 1 guy here. He is the greatest goaltender of all time. You are going to put all of your faith in Ricky LaFleur, and he's going to lead you to multiple Stanley Cups in the future. Ricky is looking to completely ruin the NHL by dominating so much. However, there's actually one thing we have to do before we get into next season. We have to adjust a couple settings. Now, when I did this video with Darnell Richmond, one thing I did was turn sim engine scoring to high, because I wanted Darnell Richmond to completely take over the league. I want him scoring as many goals as humanly possible. Well, today we don't want goals being scored. We want Ricky LaFleur dominating by not allowing any goals. So sim engine scoring, we're turning that to low. Sim engine shot frequency, we're going to keep on high though, because that will improve the save percentages of our goaltenders, and we want that to be happening. So sim engine scoring is going to be dropped to low. Ricky LaFleur, I'm not going to set any unrealistic expectations for your rookie year other than you taking home rookie of the year and also picking up at least 15 shutouts. Nothing crazy. So we can finally dive into Ricky LaFleur's rookie season. What is this man going to be doing? 15 shutouts, maybe even a Stanley Cup, 65 wins. Anything is possible for Ricky LaFleur because he's the greatest of all time. Before we go ahead and simulate any games though, and watch this man completely dominate the NHL, if you think that Ricky LaFleur is the greatest goaltender in NHL history before even playing a game, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. I think we're all well aware of Ricky LaFleur's greatness between the pipes, and I think we should acknowledge that greatness by subscribing to the Stick on the Ice channel, because by acknowledging me, we acknowledge the greatness of Ricky LaFleur. Now, there was definitely some high expectations moving into into Ricky LaFleur's rookie season, and I definitely didn't put any of those expectations on Ricky LaFleur, but what on earth happened this season? The Utah Mammoth aren't even going to make the playoffs, a 41-33-8 record, and I don't know how much of this blame you can really put on Ricky LaFleur, because the Utah Mammoth finished with the 4th best defense in the entire league, meaning Ricky LaFleur was probably one of the best goaltenders in the entire league. His team just decided, no, we're not going to score any goals this season. The Utah Mammoth let Ricky LaFleur down. Like, I understand by turning down goal scoring, yes, the offense isn't going to be nearly as good, because if we turn down scoring to help Ricky LaFleur's numbers, it's also going to hurt the offense, mean they're not going to be scoring as many goals. But even still, I feel like the Utah Mammoth have a good enough forward core where they should be producing a little bit. Ryan Strome, you must have joined this team at some point and you were terrible. Minus 25. Nah, bro was not doing anything to help this team. Meanwhile, when it comes to goaltending, look at what Ricky LaFleur was up to. 35 wins, 8 shutouts, a 938 and a 204. These would be incredible numbers from any goaltender, but a rookie just did this. We just saw a rookie post a 204 and a 938. He was the best goalie in the league. And if you thought I was exaggerating, I'm not. Ricky LaFleur was arguably the best goaltender in the league, but I take that back. Casey DeSmith had a 940 and a 187. Yes, he was the backup. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, he did play less games than Ricky LaFleur. But look at that man, UC Saros, a 941 and a goals against a 2 exactly. Yeah, we're about to see some ridiculous numbers when it comes to goaltenders, aren't we? But Ricky LaFleur, it's an absolute shame that in year number 1, you're not even going to get any postseason action. Like, you really posted a 938 and a 204 and still didn't make the playoffs. That is absolutely ridiculous. When it comes to our Stanley Cup champions, that's going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets taking down the Edmonton Oilers. But Ricky LaFleur, are you going to take home any awards this season? I'm assuming UC Saros is taking home the Vezina. I'm assuming you're not going to be winning the Calder, but it looks like you are. Ricky LaFleur is going to have a little bit of respect put on his name. He is going to be the first goaltender winning the Calder, and I don't know how long. It has been a very long time since we've seen a goalie win the Calder, and it looks like they're going to be giving Ricky LaFleur his flowers early. Meanwhile, when it comes to the Vezina, that's going to be UC Saros. When it comes to the William Jennings, that's going to be Calvin Pickard. So although Ricky LaFleur is only going to be walking away with one award, it's a pretty historic one. The first goaltender in a very long time to be winning the Conn Smythe. I'll definitely take that in season number 1. But moving into season number 2, we better start seeing some postseason action. Now we're moving into Ricky LaFleur's sophomore season. I'm kind of hoping we can get a little bit more offense from this team, because offense is the only thing holding us back. We have great defense right now. We have one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. We actually have the greatest goalie of all time. Not one of, he is the greatest. But the problem is we have no offense in front of him. Unless that changes in the future, Ricky LaFleur, you might continue to post 940s and goals against below 2 and just never win a Stanley Cup because we can't score. And of course, that would be an absolute shame, but that's not going to happen. Utah's eventually going to figure it out, and with Ricky LaFleur in between the pipes, we're going to be walking away with about 10 Stanley Cups by the time he retires. Okay, 10 Stanley Cups might be a stretch considering we haven't made the postseason yet, but we have to set high expectations only for us to be let down eventually. Now, after missing the playoffs last season, Ricky LaFleur is not going to allow that to happen again. He's not going to allow this team to miss the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, or at least that's what I thought would happen. And then I found out the Utah Mammoth were going to be one of the worst teams in the entire league, a 36-37-9 record. What has happened? What is happening with the Utah Mammoth? You have the greatest goaltender in NHL history on your team, and you're telling me you can't win games? Like, this is a little bit ridiculous. Look at all these negative plus minuses when it comes to our goaltenders' numbers. Ricky LaFleur, 26 wins, 3 shutouts, a 917 and a 276. You were outplayed by Jacob Markstrom this season. You were a 99 overall in every attribute category, and you're telling me you can't pick up more wins than losses? What is going on with the Utah Mammoth right now? This team is just a complete and utter dumpster fire. It was definitely a sophomore slump for Ricky LaFleur. He must have been going a little bit too hard in the trailer park, but you know what? He's going to bounce back. He's heading into the final year of his entry-level contract. He's ready for his big-time payday. He wants to make at least $20 million a year, but if you're going to want to make $20 million, you're going to have to put up some elite numbers, and we just haven't really seen that from you yet. Alright, so it looks like over the offseason, Utah decided maybe we should try to bring in some more offense. Pavel Zacha is going to be joining the team. Capo Caco is going to be joining the team. Brian Russ is going to be joining the bottom 6, so there is a little bit more depth here, but there is one thing I'm definitely questioning right now. I need to look at our healthy scratches. Denoye, Why on earth is he a healthy scratch? He's an 86 overall. That makes no sense. Again, like, you're an 83 overall. You should probably be in the lineup as well. Yeah, I don't really know what this Utah team is doing. Definitely some questionable decisions right there. When it comes to the defense, it's actually looking worse this season, and that is not a good sign. We need a little bit of support in front of Ricky LaFleur. He's still 99 overall, and it is important to note he did sign an extension with the team. I'm not 100% sure how much that extension is, but we should go check on that. Like, did Ricky LaFleur just become a $20 million man? Is he getting an absolute bag from Utah? He should be. He is one of the only players who has stepped up the past 2 seasons, and when it comes to Ricky LaFleur's extension, he's actually going to be giving them a massive discount. $8.9 million for a handful of years. He's locked down until at least 2036 right now. They should be thanking you. They should retire your number already. I guess Ricky LaFleur doesn't care too much about stacking paper. He wants to stack a couple Stanley Cups together. He wants to go down as the greatest goaltender of all time, and in order to do that, he needs Stanley Cups, so he's going to take a massive pay cut for them to improve the offense on this team. Also, barring what happens this season, I am contemplating moving sim engine scoring back up to medium. Depending on what happens this season, I might have to make a couple adjustments, because although it does help Ricky LaFleur's numbers quite a bit, it is significantly stalling the Utah Mammoth offense to the point where that team can't even make the playoffs. So maybe we would be better off if I turn sim engine scoring up to medium, but I guess we'll find out after this season. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have some amazing news. The Utah Mammoth have finally figured it out. Second in the entire league, a 53-20-4 record. After signing Ricky LaFleur to that contract, he said, nah, I'm taking over moving forward. They allowed less than 2 goals per game. Nah, this man just did something incredible, didn't he? Ricky LaFleur might have did something that we have never seen before in the salary cap era. What exactly am I talking about? I have no clue. I am just trying to gas up this season as much as I can, and when it comes to goaltending numbers, Ricky LaFleur, 45 wins, 9 shots, a 938 and a 205. These aren't as good as I thought they would be. I'm going to keep it a stack. These numbers actually let me down a little bit. Vejmelka, these were the numbers I was expecting from Ricky LaFleur. I was thinking he posted a 954 and a 147 or something. I thought Ricky LaFleur was going to be on that type of timing, but I'm not going to complain about a 938 and a 205 though. These are still some incredible numbers, but yeah, I was thinking we were going to get some Vejmelka type production. Like, bro had 4 shutouts and only 8 wins. He was absolutely locked in. Unfortunately though, I do have some bad news. When it came to the postseason, that success did not translate. We're losing in the first round in 7 games to the Blackhawks. Did Ricky LaFleur collapse when the lights were the brightest? I hope not. I don't know if I could handle watching Ricky LaFleur collapse when the lights were the brightest, but you know what? He stood tall. He did what he could. 3 wins, 1 shutout, a 931 and a 227. At that point, you just have to rely on your offense to score a couple more goals. If you're posting a 931 and a 227, I can't really expect too much more. You know what? I take all of that back. Ricky LaFleur, you were an absolute bum. Dennis posted a 944 and a 188. And then Vasilevsky had a 950 and a 157. So you know what, Ricky LaFleur? You didn't have good numbers whatsoever. A 931 isn't even a top 5 save percentage. And then a 227 goals against, that's not top 5 either. Like, you're just inside the top 10 when it comes to 227. So yeah, Ricky LaFleur, remember all those good things I just said about you? Forget all of them. You were kind of mid in the playoffs. But you know what? We can celebrate one thing. The Utah Mammoth finally making the postseason. But hopefully we can celebrate something else. Maybe some awards for Ricky LaFleur. He's taking home the Vezina. He's taking home the William Jennings. That's what I was looking for this season. I wanted to see Ricky LaFleur take home some hardware. It might not be a Stanley Cup, but a Vezina and a William Jennings is a good start. So Ricky LaFleur, you finally got some hardware. We're moving into season number 4. You finally saw some postseason action. Things are starting to look up for our man Ricky LaFleur. Now, after the success we saw last season, Ricky LaFleur is looking to build on that, and so are the Utah Mammoth. It looks like they improved the forward core a little bit more this season, but how's the defense look? Questionable. It looks kind of questionable. We brought in a very old Victor Hedman. Ryan Lindgren's also going to be joining the team. I'm not really convinced on these 3 guys right here, but you know what? I am convinced on one guy, Ricky LaFleur. Regardless of who he has in front of him, he's going to show up in a big way. He's going to make the big stops, and he's ready to get his revenge. He's not too happy about what happened in the playoffs last season. It's Stanley Cup or bust moving forward. So you remember how last season the Utah Mammoth were absolutely dominating, and Ricky LaFleur was looking like a future superstar? Yeah, that was was great. Those were the good old days. 17th in the entire league. Our defense was atrocious this season. 2.73 goals allowed per game. That's not Ricky LaFleur's fault. We cannot put any of that blame on Ricky LaFleur. It is the defense in front of him. We did not give this man a defense. We have a superstar goaltender, and Utah for some reason believes that's enough. We don't need anything else other than that superstar goaltender. He needs a little support. You have to give Ricky LaFleur a little bit of help. He still posted a 920 and a 265, but these numbers, these aren't Hall of Fame numbers. Ricky LaFleur, you're starting to let me down. The numbers aren't looking crazy. You want a Ted Lindsay? Okay, I did not realize that last season Ricky LaFleur had won the Ted Lindsay as well. I knew he won the Vezina and I knew he won the William Jennings, but I did not expect them to be giving him his flowers like that. Ricky LaFleur, the league understands that you're one of the best players in the entire league. Utah, on the other hand, they're not appreciating you. They understand you're the greatest goaltender of all time, but they think because of that, you can just win games by yourself. He needs a little bit of support. Utah, figure it out and start building a defense in front of Ricky. Alright, so over the offseason, we made a big time splash, bringing in Brayden Point, 93 overall Brayden Point. Now, I do have one main concern with us bringing in Brayden Point. I think we have way too many playmakers. We have 3 big time playmakers and only 2 really big time snipers, and I don't even want to say 2 big time snipers. Like Dylan Gunther, I can put you in that category. JJ Peterka, I don't know if I can throw you in that category. When it comes to the defense, yeah, it's absolutely chopped here. So Ricky LaFleur, you're going to have your hands full this season. I'm not really too sure what you're going to be able to do, but you're going to have to stand on your head if you want this team to win a Stanley Cup. Also, ignore the date in the top right corner. I 1000% didn't forget to unmute my mic at the beginning of the season, and then I only realized now that it was muted. Yeah, so we're definitely not 70% of the way through the season already. Now I can basically tell you this team's not going to be seeing a lot of success this season. We have playmaker on playmaker on playmaker. But what don't we have? Any snipers, really. So yeah, the offense, nothing to jump up and down about. The defense was incredible though, but I shouldn't even say our defense is incredible, because Ricky LaFleur is incredible. He is making our defense look elite, even though we don't have any elite players here outside of Sergachev. Like, in reality, we probably have one of the worst defenses in the entire league, but who is behind that defense? Ricky LaFleur, the greatest goaltender of all time. Like, this man is just something else. 35 wins, 9 shouts, a 933 and a 208. Like, I want you guys to remember what's in front of him. Sergachev, Ryan Lindgren, Broberg, Chatfield, Lamareyu, Stanley, Valimaki. This is not a great defense. Well, let's not try to gas this up. I also feel like I said this name incredibly wrong. Lamoreyu, I am just going to assume that's how you pronounce it. It's a French name like Logan Mailloux, so you already know I'm not really a big fan of that guy, even though I know absolutely nothing about him, just because his name reminds me of Logan Mailloux. The last names are low-key similar, not really, but they kind of are. So just because of that, I'm not a big fan of that guy because he gives me bad vibes. Also, we lost in the second round. I feel like that shouldn't be much of a surprise. When you have 0 offense whatsoever, why on earth would you win games in the postseason? We have a lot of guys who can pick up assists. What don't we have? Guys that can score goals. Logan Cooley, as a playmaker, you were actually scoring goals for me. And Dylan Gunther, you did your thing as a sniper, you score goals. But then we had Brayden Point pick up 8 assists. Then we had Clayton Keller pick up 15 assists. We just didn't score goals. Plain and simple, the team's not scoring goals. Meanwhile, Ricky LaFleur, 7 wins, 2 shouts, a 945 and a 185. No, we let this man down. We let down Ricky LaFleur. He should have won a Stanley Cup this season. He had the best numbers, if you're counting goaltenders that didn't just play one game. And then when it comes to the goals against, I'm assuming that's the best as well. And yes, it is. Ricky LaFleur just put on an all-time goaltending performance, and it still wasn't enough because we don't have any snipers on this team. That's ridiculous. Also, I'm like 90% sure that Ricky LaFleur is not going to be taking home any awards, but what do I know? Ricky LaFleur is taking home the Vezina this season. He's taking home the William Jennings. I should have never doubted this man. Is he taking home any other awards other than that? It doesn't look like it. He's not taking home the Ted Lindsay this season, but I'm definitely perfectly fine with these 2 goaltender awards right here. So we have one job over the offseason. Bring in some elite snipers. Ricky LaFleur needs some offensive help. Now, congratulations to Utah on winning the Stanley Cup. Now, you might be looking at this team and thinking not too much is different. Well, there is one guy that's going to make the difference. I don't care if he's 36 years old, and I don't care if he has AHL top 6 potential. Burakovsky's here to score goals. The offense is now fixed. The defense looks really questionable still. But you know what? We have Ricky LaFleur as the number 1. He's still 99 overall, elite goaltender with high franchise potential. But the only problem that we might might have this season is we do have this medium league potential backup, Stan Baker. He might be taking starts away from Ricky LaFleur. Obviously, Ricky LaFleur is going to get like 80 to 90% of the starts, but Baker might start stealing a couple starts away from Ricky. I don't know if that's actually better for the team or not. I guess it will give Ricky LaFleur a bit more rest, so in the games he plays, he's going to be even looking more elite. But with the lack of offensive production outside of Andre Burakovsky, I feel like this could be another rough season. Nah, but in all seriousness, over the offseason, I wanted you guys to get an elite sniper. You brought in 36-year-old, 79 overall Andre Burakovsky. We all know Andre Burakovsky's a stick on the ice legend, one of the greats on this channel. But at 36 years old in the year 2032, I don't know about that one. We're either in 2032 or 2031. We're in 2031 right now. We're in the 2031-2032 season. So at the end of the year, we'll be in 2032. I don't know if Andre Burakovsky's the answer in 2032. We could be in trouble. Now, it might come to an absolute surprise to some people, but Andre Burakovsky wasn't the answer. Nope, Andre Burakovsky did not save this team. 17th in the entire league, a 41-34-7 record. What is this team doing? Like, seriously, at this point, what are we doing? Like, Utah either completely tank moving forward and rebuild for like 3 years, or bring in some competent snipers to help your team. It's that simple. You either go out and get some goal scorers, or you tank for some goal scorers, and no in between. Stop running it back, bringing in more and more playmakers when this team clearly doesn't need more playmakers. Sergachev, did you sign an extension with the team? Because I feel like your contract might almost be up by this point. Never mind, it looks like you did sign an extension, 10.6 for the next 4 years. So Sergachev is going to stick around for a little while longer. Meanwhile, when it comes to our goaltending, Ricky LaFleur, yeah, we're just going to pretend this doesn't happen. Like, these look like good numbers, but in reality, they're not that great. Also, I feel like I shouldn't have to check the individual awards, but I just will. When it comes to the Vezina, I'm 90% sure that Ricky LaFleur is not taking it home. Erison's going to be taking it home over him. No, we got to get back to our former greatness. What are we doing? Also, I guess it wouldn't hurt if we did take a look at the postseason scoring. Obviously, we lost in the first round. Like, we didn't put up a slight fight whatsoever. We ended up losing in 5 games, so it's going to be a very quick look here. I can only assume that Ricky LaFleur's numbers looked atrocious. Yeah, an 883 and a 362. What are we doing? So I haven't even looked at what Utah's done over the offseason. I do want to point out Braden Point was a pending free agent, so I'm not 100% sure if he re-signed with the team or not. What are we looking at heading into this next season? Well, Braden Point's going to be sticking around. This team looks almost identical. Nicole, please tell me you're a sniper. Good. We have a sniper in the system. He's 22 years old. He's an 82 overall. Buddy better take a million shots this season. When it comes to our defense, we have something here. Kevin Korchinski, Rasmus Sandin, Sergachev, we have a really good left side. The right side, kind of weak, but you know what? We're not going to worry about it. Kevin Korchinski, I feel like by the halfway point of the season, you're going to be our number 1 defenseman. We have a little bit of offense now. I think Utah might finally be able to do something. Ricky LaFleur, you're 99 overall. We're all well aware of what you can do. But now that you have a little bit of support in front of you, you actually might put up numbers that we haven't seen before. Either that or this team is going to completely disappoint like usual, and he's going to post like a 930 and a 220, which for Ricky LaFleur standards are actually pretty bad numbers. Now I'm starting to question if Utah is ever going to figure it out. Are they eventually going to learn that you should surround Ricky LaFleur with a little bit of offense? Like, if you gave Ricky LaFleur offense, your team would win games. 11th in the entire league. We only won 44 this season. Like, every season, we're just a fringe wildcard team. We haven't done anything crazy since Ricky LaFleur joined the team, and it's an absolute disgrace. In saying that, we did have 2-point-a-game scorers, so I guess we can celebrate that. The team's finally doing something. Meanwhile, when it comes to our man Ricky LaFleur, 40 wins, 9 shots, a 923 and a 234. Given Ricky LaFleur's standards, those aren't that crazy of numbers. Like, looking at the entire league, Joseph Wall is going to have better numbers, Gustafson's going to have better numbers, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's going to have better numbers. So yeah, it's not like Ricky LaFleur was an insane goaltender by any means. He did lead the league in shutouts though, so I guess I should point that out. He's going to be picking up 9 this season. But I guess the real question is, would any of that success translate into the postseason? Well, it sort of would, because the Utah Mammoth would make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but they would fall in a 6-game series to the Philadelphia Flyers. Ricky LaFleur put his heart and soul into this postseason run right here, but the team just couldn't pay him back. They just couldn't score some goals for him. It's an absolute shame. When the lights were the brightest, Ricky LaFleur stepped up. He posted some incredible numbers of 14 wins, 3 shots, a 933 and a 230, and although those were the best numbers, it's still not going to result in the Stanley Cup. Erison's going to be taking it home this season. We've reached the point where I'm starting to wonder if Ricky LaFleur LaFleur is ever going to win a Stanley Cup. We know this man is going to take home Vezina trophies, and I'm assuming that's what he did this season, but that's actually not the case. Joseph Woll is taking it home. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's taking home the William Jennings. This incredible season from Ricky LaFleur is going to be completely forgotten because he's not taking home any awards, but Sebastian Cossa is taking home the Ted Lindsay. Okay, what were Kossa's numbers? I feel like he wasn't that elite. Maybe I'm completely tripping. Sebastian Cossa, what'd you do? 37 wins, 10 shouts, a 930 and a 231. Okay, I can kind of buy that. However, you did have a losing record technically. 37 wins, 30 losses, 10 OT losses. So you technically lost 40 games to your 37 wins. They really gave the Ted Lindsay to a guy that had a losing record. Now, me personally, I wouldn't be doing that. But you know what? I guess you got to give the man his flowers. He did have 10 shutouts this season. That doesn't happen too often. Okay, now this is definitely a decision. I don't know who our coach is, but Logan Cooley, Braden Point, and Clayton Keller on the top line. So we're going to team up a playmaker alongside a playmaker alongside a playmaker. And then on our second line, we're going to have a sniper alongside a sniper alongside a sniper. That is all that needs to be said. This team is not winning any games this season. We're going to be a massive disappointment. I don't care what Ricky LaFleur does this season. It doesn't matter. We're just not going to see any success based on those lineups. Like, let's actually really sit down and think about this. You know, it makes sense putting a playmaker alongside a sniper or a power forward. So you have a playmaker alongside two guys that are known for scoring goals. But why on earth would you do that when you can put a playmaker alongside another playmaker alongside another playmaker? So you have three guys who are going to pass the puck to each other but aren't going to shoot. And then on the second line, what we're going to do is we're going to have three snipers. So instead of having a playmaker that can facilitate the offense and pass the puck around, nah, we're just going to have three guys that are looking to shoot and are never going to pass. Because that makes so much sense. Alright, so clearly I know nothing about hockey. In reality, you actually just want three playmakers playing alongside each other and then three snipers playing alongside each other. When you do that, you find a way to score goals. 2.87 goals for per game. When it comes to goals allowed, 2.41. Now, it's not the best defense we've seen before, but we are scoring goals, and that's all we care about. Now, when it comes to Ricky LaFleur's numbers, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy this season. If we were allowing 2.41 goals per game, it's definitely not going to be the greatest season of his career. However, 38 wins, 9 shuts, a 925 and a 224, that's nothing to complain about. It's another 9 shutout season from Ricky LaFleur. By the time we get to the end of his career, he's definitely going to shatter the record for most shutouts. Like, bro's averaging just about 9 per season. Unfortunately, there is one record that he's probably not going to break: most Stanley Cups by one goaltender, because we're going to fall in the second round to the Minnesota Wild. One thing Ricky LaFleur just can't seem to do right now is win a Stanley Cup, and I don't know if that means he needs to leave the Utah Mammoth or this team just needs to figure out how to build around him, but something just has to change. Ricky LaFleur, the numbers were spectacular in the postseason. Like, the fact that you're not winning with a 944 and a 174, yeah, we had to put that on the management. The management is to be blamed for this loss right here. Meanwhile, Ersson, a 950 and a 158. There is no way Ersson has just become the greatest goaltender of all time. This video was supposed to be about Ricky LaFleur becoming the greatest of all time, but so far, Ersson's been that guy. So it's another disappointing exit for Ricky LaFleur. I feel like it's important to note he has 3 more years under contract with the Utah Mammoth, so unless this team figures it out over the next 3 years, and unless they start winning Stanley Cups, Ricky, I would test free agency the first chance you get, because you deserve Stanley Cups. You deserve to see some postseason success. And you've been holding up your end of the bargain year in and year out. But you know who hasn't been holding up their end of the bargain? The offense on this team. We need somebody to do something. We need somebody to give you a little bit of support. And so far, that just hasn't happened. Shout out to Ravensburgen for winning the Ted Lindsay. He's going to be the 3rd straight goaltender to take that award home. Hopefully, Ricky LaFleur is going to be continuing that streak next season, and he's going to be taking it home in 2035. Alright, Ricky LaFleur, when you get the opportunity to leave Utah, you're going to have to do so. Clayton Keller is now dropped to an 82 overall. Patrick Laine and Josh Norris were brought in. Those guys are not going to be the answer for us. They're 36 and 35-year-old. They're 36-year-olds and 35-year-olds respectfully. These guys are not the answer for the future. Braden Point, he is not the answer for the future. Is there any guys here that are really for the future other than Kevin Korchinski? Not really. This entire team is headed in the wrong direction. Ricky LaFleur, you're here for another 3 years, I think. Yeah, once those 3 years are up, you have to leave this team. Like, if you want to be a lifer and stay on the Utah Mammoth, I can't really blame you for that. You're staying loyal to the soil, loyal to the team that drafted you. I don't think anyone would get mad about loyalty. However, loyalty will go out the window if you haven't won a Stanley Cup in the next 3 years. We are trying to make you the greatest goalie of all time, and if you continue to play on Utah, you're not going to be that guy. Now, I don't know if it's just me being a hater or me just not believing in this team, but I don't care what Utah's record is. I don't care what their offense is. I don't care what their defense is. I just know they're not going to win the Stanley Cup because I know when the lights are the brightest, Ricky LaFleur is going to post a 950 and a 140, and then this team is going to score less than a goal per game. It's happened multiple times so far. It doesn't matter what this man does during the regular season. It doesn't matter that he just had 35 wins, 10 shots, a 925 and a 221. I think there's a very good chance that the Utah Mammoth ended up losing in the first round. Now, is that going to be the case? It doesn't look like it. Instead, they lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champions in the conference finals in 7 games. I can't deal with this heartbreak anymore. Utah had won back-to-back Game 7s up until this point, but in their third straight Game 7, they couldn't come away with a victory. This loss is going to hurt significantly more once we see Ricky LaFleur posting a 960, because you know that happened. You know that man absolutely dominated, and what happened? Well, he had 11 wins, 3 shouts, a 935 and a 215, so not quite a 960, but a 935 and a 215, some of the best numbers we were seeing in the postseason. He had better numbers than Dustin Wolf, slightly worse numbers than Dobish, who went on to win the Stanley Cup, but we just lost to an 80 overall backup goaltender. There is no way we just lost to an 80 overall backup goaltender. It's one thing to lose to Dustin Wolf, who is a 90 overall, but we lost to 80 overall Dobish, who is 34 years old and a backup goaltender. We have seen a lot of heartbreak in this video so far, but that might be some of the worst heartbreak we've seen so far. When it comes to our award winners, the Vezina is going to Ravensburgen, the William Jennings is going to Ravensburgen as well. When it comes to the Ted Lindsay, that's also going to Ravensburgen. Okay, I want to look at his numbers, because if he's winning all those awards, he must have posted like a 960 or something. What was he able to accomplish this season? 38 wins, 6 shots, a 933 and a 209. Call me crazy, but I feel like he shouldn't have won it. Like, Nicholas Kakko finished with more wins. He had 1 less shutout. Ersson had more wins and he had more shutouts. Yes, the save percentage and goals against aren't quite as nice, but I think you can almost make a better case for Ricky LaFleur. He finished with 3 less wins, but he had 4 more shutouts, a 925 and a 221. I guess I can't really compare it to Ravensburgen's 933 and 209, but I think we were gassing up Ravensburgen a little bit too much this season. The Vezina, William Jennings, and Ted Lindsay, I don't know about that one. Now, Utah, did you actually do something smart over the offseason? Hutchins is going to be joining the team. Toby Hutchins. Now, this is one of the few guys that was drafted before Ricky LaFleur back in year number 1. We're going to be bringing him onto the team for $15 million for the next 7. He has scored 30 goals multiple times. Dylan Gunther, you're still going to be the top guy on the first line, but we actually have a little bit of depth scoring now. Is this going to be enough for us to finally win a Stanley Cup? I'm not really too sure, because the defense still looks absolutely cooked on this team. We haven't addressed that over the past 7 years. Why haven't we addressed that? I have no clue. You would think by now we would have addressed our defense, but why would you do that when you have 99 overall Ricky LaFleur in between the pipes? He's the perfect goaltender. Clearly he can stop every shot. Why on earth would we give a 99 overall goaltender any support? That just doesn't seem very logical. Now, Utah, please tell me you finally did it. Second in the entire league. We were scoring goals this season. We actually had one of the best offenses in the NHL. It was a top 7 offense. On top of having a top 7 offense, we had one of the best defenses in the entire league, the 4th best defense. But once again, I should probably stop saying it's the 4th best defense. We had the 4th best goaltending because we allowed the 4th fewest amount of goals, and that is all because of one man, Ricky LaFleur. Now, Ricky LaFleur, what were the stats looking like this season? Hutchins, you were clearly a good pickup. You scored 35 goals for us. That's exactly what we needed. But I'm not worried about your goal scoring numbers. I'm worried about these numbers right here from Ricky LaFleur. 47 wins, 7 shots, a 935 and a 205. But you know what? I shouldn't even say I'm worried about these numbers right here, because I don't really care what Ricky LaFleur does during the regular season. I care about what he does in the postseason and him winning a Stanley Cup, but that's not going to be happening because we're going to lose in Game 7 to the Vegas Golden Knights in the conference finals. You're kidding me. We lost in Game 7 of the conference finals once again. Philly's winning their 3rd Stanley Cup in like 4 or 5 years now. That team has been on an absolute heater. It's their 3rd cup in the last 4 years. We're falling in the conference finals once again in 7 games. I'm so tired of this. I am sick and tired of this. At least Ricky LaFleur is taking home the Vezina this season. He's not taking home the William Jennings. Maybe he can win the Ted Lindsay as well. Is that the case? Yes, it is. So Ricky LaFleur, you won the Ted Lindsay. You're going to win the Vezina this season as well, but you still haven't won a Stanley Cup. And I'm starting to wonder, is it ever going to happen? Is Ricky LaFleur ever going to win a Stanley Cup? I'm starting to question it. Meanwhile, when it comes to his postseason numbers, we already know what Ricky LaFleur is going to do. He's going to post some incredible numbers like a 928 and a 219. However, these do not compare to what Ersson did, because he is the greatest goaltender of all time. You know what? Ricky LaFleur, you were supposed to ruin the NHL. You were supposed to become that next superstar goaltender and absolutely dominate. You have not become that guy. Instead, Ersson has, because look at what he's done in the past 4 years. A 942 and a 176, and he won the Stanley Cup while picking up 5 shutouts. In the last Stanley Cup he won, 4 shutouts, a 950 and a 158. And then the year before that, 1 shutout, a 924 and a 248. And I guess I should also point out, the year before that, he actually lost in the Stanley Cup final. So in the past 5 years, he has made it to 4 Stanley Cup finals, winning 3 of them. I was fully expecting Ricky LaFleur to ruin the NHL. So far, it's been Ersson. I would have never expected that. But you know what? There's a lot of time left in this video. A lot of good years left for Ricky LaFleur. Like, he's only 28 years old. He's only under contract with Utah for 1 more season. So if he has any smarts to him, he's going to be leaving this team. Unfortunately, though, this is Ricky LaFleur we're talking about. And sometimes the brain compartments aren't working the best. Now, there is only one thing I am focused on this season. Ricky LaFleur, I am praying you did not sign an extension with this team. Please tell me you didn't re-sign. If you re-signed, you basically just said, I don't care about Stanley Cups. And thankfully, he hasn't re-signed to the team. Ricky LaFleur hasn't re-signed with Utah. Do not re-sign. Whatever you do, do not re-sign to this team. And if you're thinking I'm hating a little bit too much on Utah right now, 73 overall, 71 overall, 76 overall. That's all I need to say. This team sucks. Do my eyes deceive me? Did the Utah Mammoth just win the Stanley Cup? This team has finally done it, and they did it in Ricky LaFleur's contract year. He's going to re-sign with the team, isn't he? He's going to make the wrong decision. He's going to re-sign with the team, and then next season they're going to miss the playoffs. I can see it all happening. Ricky LaFleur, congratulations on the Stanley Cup. You finally won the best trophy in the world. The Utah Mammoth are going to finish 3rd in the entire league, a 49, 26, and 7 record. But all of this success comes with a cost, because Ricky LaFleur is likely re-signing with the team. I have a feeling Utah is going to completely collapse after this season. But you know what? We have to celebrate the positives. Ricky LaFleur finally did it. He finally won a Stanley Cup. During the regular season, 43 wins, 8 shutouts, a 924 and a 224. But these numbers, we don't care about. We only care about the ridiculous postseason numbers from Ricky LaFleur, because you know this man was absolutely dominating during the postseason. So what exactly did he do? 16 wins, 2 shutouts, a 940 and a 172. Compared to every other goaltender in the league, nobody could compete with Ricky LaFleur. He was in a league of his own this season. So Ricky LaFleur, you finally did it with Utah. You finally won a Stanley Cup. But on top of that, I think you're taking home some awards this season. Now, will you be winning the Conn Smythe Trophy? It doesn't look like it. That's going to go to Dylan Guenther. To be fair, it is very difficult for goaltenders to win the Conn Smythe in this game, so that doesn't really surprise me too much. You're not going to be taking home the Vezina this season. You're not going to take home the William Jennings. Are you taking home any hardware? It doesn't look like it, but I guess you are taking home a little bit of hardware. You're finally a Stanley Cup champ. But with all of that being said, who are our pending free agents entering next season? Has Ricky LaFleur re-signed with the team, or is he going to be testing free agency? It looks like he is re-signed. He has decided he wants to stick around in Utah. After winning a Stanley Cup, he wants to stay with the team. I can't really blame him too much. Like, at the end of the day, the Utah Mammoth did just win a Stanley Cup. They were 3rd in the entire league, so there is a good reason for him to stick around. And you know what? They're going to pay him for it. Ricky LaFleur is finally getting his big-time payday, $14 million per year for the next 6 seasons. It's time for Ricky LaFleur to start stacking the paper. Over the past 7 years, he took a massive discount. Now it's time for him to get his bag. So Ricky LaFleur, congrats on finally winning a Stanley Cup, but the job is not done, of course. you have to run it back next season now. Now, for once, we can actually do a little bit of celebrating. The Utah Mammoth are finally Stanley Cup champions, and Ricky LaFleur led the way. However, the job is not done, as we know, because if we won a Stanley Cup last season, that means we have to repeat this season. Ricky LaFleur, the success of this team lies on your shoulders. You have to single-handedly win them another Stanley Cup, because last season, you were probably the only reason they won. So yeah, just go ahead and post some historic numbers once again, and we can go back to back. Simple as that. Now, who could have expected this? After winning a Stanley Cup, the Utah Mammoth are going to completely collapse. Ninth in the entire league, a 45-27-10 record. We were scoring 3.07 goals per game, so I'm definitely going to take that. But 2.5 goals allowed, yeah, we got to work on that. As great as Ricky LaFleur is, he's not going to stop every shot, especially when he has a mid defense in front of him, but we've been over this time and time again. When it comes to our goaltending numbers, Ricky LaFleur, 41 wins, 5 shots, a 926 and a 229. Your numbers are actually a little bit better than I was expecting. I think our backup skewed those numbers quite a bit because he posted an 899 to 329. So yeah, Ricky LaFleur, another great season, but only 5 shutouts. I expect more from you. Now, when it comes to the postseason, the Utah Mammoth are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. So regardless of where they finish in the standings, they're still going to be the reigning Cup champs until now, because the San Jose Sharks are going to be taking down the Utah Mammoth in 7 games in the conference finals. Haven't heard that one before. And then San Jose is going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, taking down the Toronto Maple Leafs. If we could win Game 7 in the conference finals, I think Ricky LaFleur would have 4 Stanley Cups by now. The only reason that man doesn't have more Stanley Cups is because we can never win Game 7 in the conference finals. It's a little bit ridiculous. When it comes to LaFleur's numbers, 11 wins, 1 shutout, a 949 and a 172. Yeah, I'm going to give you some tips here, Utah. Win Game 7 in the conference finals, and you will win the Stanley Cup every season, because bro posted a 949 and a 172 and lost in the conference finals. This is not his fault. Like, it's actually getting a little bit ridiculous now. Like, just win Game 7 in the conference finals. I'm not asking you to sweep the postseason. I'm not asking you to do anything unrealistic. All I'm asking you to do is win Game 7 of the conference finals. If you can do that, will be Stanley Cup champions. Now, I'm starting to get the feeling this team doesn't really have a plan moving into the future. Logan Cooley's 34 years old, so he's getting towards the end of his career. Dylan Guenther is definitely at the end of his career as he's dropped to an 82 overall. Clayton Keller is no longer here, and there is a lot of 70 overall players in the lineup. Unless we have an elite defense, which we definitely don't here, yeah, I don't know what the plan is. Like, Ricky LaFleur, as great as you are, I don't think you can save this team, because this team basically has nothing left. Like, I don't know what they've been doing over the past couple of years, but what has happened to all of our money? And you know what? That is actually a very good question. What has happened to all of our money? What are we spending our money on for us to look like this? So Hutchins is getting paid $14 million, and you know what? He's earned it. He's one of the better players here. Logan Cooley's getting towards the end of his career, but he's locked down for a couple more at $11.6 million. He's actually locked down for a handful more years. I don't think that contract's going to age too well for us. Kevin Korchinski at 34, he's locked down for 3 more years. Eventually, we'll be moving on from that deal. But I guess the real problem we're having is guys like Iginla, who are getting paid $8.9 million, are only 84 overalls. We have this other defenseman who's an 83, and he's getting paid $8.5 million. We have another 83 overall defenseman getting paid $8 million. Yeah, we're just overpaying our defense a ton. Like, there is no reason we should have $21 million tied into these 3 guys right here. Yeah, we've done a terrible job managing the cap. And then Dylan Guenther, $12.3 million for the next 3 years. That's not great considering you've already dropped to an 82. Now, I'm not aware of how well the Utah Mammoth did this season, but I'm fully expecting this team to be missing the playoffs, and that's exactly what's happening. A 43-30-9 record. Who would have thought this team would miss the playoffs when they don't have a good team? It's as simple as that. Ricky LaFleur has been saving this team for countless years. He is making them look significantly better than what they actually are. Because I can confidently say if Ricky LaFleur wasn't on this team, they would be by far the worst team in the entire league, and it wouldn't even be close. LaFleur, 36 wins this season, 5 shots, a 930 and a 228. For his standards, this is a pretty bad season, but look at the team in front of him. If Ricky LaFleur was on a top 3 team in the NHL, I think he would have a 950 and a 150 basically every season. But unfortunately, he's on arguably the worst team in the NHL right now. Like, this team refuses to build anything competent around Ricky LaFleur right now. It's actually a little bit of a joke. The Carolina Hurricanes are Stanley Cup champions. I think it's going to be a long time before Ricky LaFleur wins one again, if he ever does win another one. Alright, so I think the goal for this season should be about 30 wins. because this team is terrible. There is nothing good about this team right here. The defense isn't good either. The only bright spot on this team right now is Ricky LaFleur. He is going to single-handedly keep them in playoff contention this season, even though there is absolutely nothing here. Like, just look at this team. A 77 overall and a 79 overall. Luckily, Brady Tkachuk has X Factor, so he'll be somewhat competent, but the rest of this team, yeah, we're not winning 30 games. There's just no way that happens. Yeah, so about us only winning 30 games this season, this might have been the greatest goaltender performance we have ever seen. The Utah Mammoth are Stanley Cup champions. What on earth just happened this season? How did the Utah Mammoth just win the Stanley Cup? We all know what that team looked like. They were terrible. There were no good assets on that team. How on earth did they just win a Stanley Cup? 6th in the entire league, a 49-28-5 record. They only allowed 189 goals, which is 2.3 allowed. This might have been the greatest performance we've ever seen. I don't think anyone could have done what Ricky LaFleur just did. He carried this team full of absolute bums, a bunch of scrubs, to a Stanley Cup. This shouldn't have been possible. 35 wins, 5 shouts, a 932 and a 222. But in this situation, the regular season numbers don't matter. We don't care about those. What did this man just do during the postseason? Because he might have did something we have never seen before. He didn't post good numbers. 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 916, and a goals against of 3 exactly. How on earth did we just win a Stanley Cup? That doesn't make any sense. We beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 7. We ended up going to 3 Game 7s, and we won every single one of those. Ironically, the only series that we didn't go to Game 7 in, the Conference Finals, and thankfully we didn't have to go to Game 7 because we would have lost for sure. But Ricky LaFleur is now a 2-time Stanley Cup champion after I predicted this team wouldn't win more than 30 games. How on earth did that just happen? It makes absolutely no sense. I'm speechless. I am truly speechless right now. Ricky LaFleur, you are now a 2-time Stanley Cup winner, and you really shouldn't be. Like, you guys should not have won a Stanley Cup this season. You didn't even post dominant numbers. You guys just found a way to win when you probably shouldn't have. But you know what? A win is a win is a win is a win. We're moving on to next season, and we're looking to repeat. Now, moving further, can I really say anything bad about this Utah Mammoth team? Because on paper, yes, they don't look that great, but they won a Stanley Cup last season, and if we could win a Stanley Cup with the team we had last season, then why can't we win another one? Ricky LaFleur has dropped 3 overalls. This is very important to note. At 32 years old, it looks like Ricky LaFleur has started to regress. His attributes are dropping across the board. This is not what we want to see. We don't want to see Ricky LaFleur regressing at 32 years old. He still has a ton of great years left in him. Nah, NHL 26 is hating on this man. We all know Ricky LaFleur should be a 99 overall until his late 30s, not start regressing at 32. Now, there is a chance that I absolutely lose my mind here. In a matter of moments, I might just completely lose it on the Utah Mammoth. So we're 8th in the entire league. Quick spoiler, we didn't win a Stanley Cup. However, we made it to the conference finals. If we lost in Game 7 of the conference finals once again, I'm going to lose it on this team, because there is no way you lose in the conference finals in Game 7 every single time. There's just no way that happens. Ricky LaFleur is doing his normal thing. 37 wins, 3 shouts, a 924 and a 247. We can definitely tell over the past couple seasons the numbers have definitely been taking a step back. Ricky LaFleur's even dropped to a 95 overall. The fall off has begun for our man Ricky. You just hate to see it. Now, when it comes to the postseason, it better not be in 7 games. Why am I not surprised? I am not surprised in the slightest. I believe this might be the 5th time we have made to the conference finals and lost in Game 7. It always happens in Game 7. God forbid we win a game in Game 7 of the conference finals. Why on earth would we do that? Why on earth would we ever win Game 7 of the conference finals? That is just stupid. Winning in Game 7 of the conference finals is for stupid teams, and we are not a stupid team. Ricky LaFleur, a 936 and a 205. He had 3 shutouts as well. No one cares about these numbers because we lost in Game 7 of the conference finals once again. I hate Utah. I hate everything about the Utah Mammoth right now because they never win in Game 7 of the conference finals, and you can't even blame Ricky LaFleur 99.9% of the time because this man steps up every season. When you need a big time player to show up, that's what Ricky LaFleur does every single postseason. And then what happens in Game 7? We forget how to score goals and we lose in Game 7 every single time in the conference finals. I hate this team. I really do. So time and time again, when it comes to the Utah Mammoth, I've been asking them not to lose in Game 7 of the conference finals. But you know what? I'm going to ask you to do something else. What I'm going to ask you to do is don't get to Game 7 of the conference finals, because we already know you're going to lose. So when it comes to the conference finals, you have to win in 6 games. I can't trust you guys going to 7 games. If you're going to go to 7 games, you're going to lose. We all know it. So moving forward, you have to win in 6 games. You can go to Game 7 in the first round. You can go to Game 7 in the second round, and you can go to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. Whatever you do, don't go to Game 7 in the conference finals. We are bound to lose if that happens. Ricky LaFleur has also dropped to a 94 overall. I'm not going to lie, the fall off has been a little bit crazy with him. Within one season, he's dropped 5 overalls. That's not a good sign. So Utah, you know what you have to do. Don't lose in Game 7 of the conference finals. You know what? We're not even going to look at the scoring yet. We are going to go straight to the postseason. The Philadelphia Flyers are Stanley Cup champions. Utah, you lost in the first round in 7 games. Why am I not surprised? I shouldn't be surprised at this. Of course, Utah is losing in 7 games in the first round. I told them you can go to Game 7 in the first round, the second round, and the Stanley Cup final because you'll win those Game 7s. And what they proceed to do, lose in the very first Game 7. Ricky LaFleur, 36 wins, 6 shots, a 928 and a 225. You can't make this up. You really can't make this up. We're losing in the first round. Ricky LaFleur was probably a complete and utter fraud. Except he wasn't, though. A 938 and a 209. I feel like this is the Utah Mammoth team from 2032 where they just decide, nah, we're not going to score any goals whatsoever. Ricky LaFleur can put up the greatest numbers of all time, but we're just not going to score any goals. It's a full circle moment for Ricky LaFleur. He began his career on a team that couldn't score goals, and now he's going to finish his career on the exact same team that still can't score goals. At 34 years old, we're not really too sure how many good years Ricky LaFleur has left, but he's still a high 90 overall, so I can't see him retiring anytime soon. However, I would like to see him pick up another Vezina and another William Jennings, and while he's at it, how about he pick up another Ted Lindsay? I think he deserves all those awards one more time. Alright, so I think this is going to be a very quick season. Yes, we brought in 2 big-time free agents, but then we have a 72, and another 72 on the fourth line, a 73, and then a 74 on the third line alongside a 78. Yeah, the bottom 6 is absolutely cooked. The defense is absolutely atrocious as well. Like, we are not winning with this defense. And then when it comes to goaltending, we brought in a backup. We brought in a backup for Ricky LaFleur. We're paying this man $6.8 million. He is supposed to be the replacement, even though Ricky LaFleur is better and only 2 years older. You can't really bring in a replacement that's 2 years younger than Ricky LaFleur when he is 7 overalls higher. That makes absolutely no sense. But Ricky, if you can help this team make the playoffs, I'm not even talking winning a Stanley Cup, but just make the playoffs, you might be the greatest goaltender of all time, because this team realistically should finish bottom 3. And when I say bottom 3, I'm not talking about finishing third last. We will be the worst team in the entire league. Now, if I told you this season was an absolute disaster, would you be surprised? Of course not. We all saw that Utah Mammoth team. A 40, 36, and 6 record is actually significantly better than what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting bottom 3 for sure. Truthfully, I was expecting us to be the worst team in the entire league, but at the end of the day, we do have Ricky LaFleur here, and he's not going to allow that to happen. However, what did Ricky LaFleur do this season? 29 wins, 4 shots, a 922, and a 248. I can't really put too much blame on him. Like, this man has nothing in front of him. He's dropped to a 93 overall at 35 years old. Time is winding down for Ricky LaFleur, but he wants to break a couple more records before his career's up. Unfortunately, though, those records aren't going to be related to Stanley Cups. The St. Louis Blues are going to be taking that one home, but Ricky LaFleur, I do believe you're actually a free agent heading into this upcoming season. I should probably double check with that. He's either about to become a free agent or he's about to be on the final year of his deal. It's one or the other, and I'm not really too sure, so let me double check. It looks like Ricky LaFleur is about to be a pending free agent. Is he going to make it to free agency, and is he going to be changing teams? I hope so. I want to see Ricky LaFleur go somewhere else. I want to see him win a Stanley Cup with another team, because if he just re-signs in Utah, he's basically just accepting he'll never win again. So we've made it to free agency, and the question remains, is Ricky LaFleur a free agent, or did he re-sign with the Utah Mammoth? Well, it looks like Ricky LaFleur is going to be head to free agency for the first time in his career. He's going to be testing the market. He's currently looking for around $15 million. Now, that might be absurd, but we have to remember who Ricky LaFleur is. He is one of the greatest goaltenders of all time. Truthfully, he deserves that money. So we'll go ahead and simulate a week into the season. We'll figure out whether or not Ricky LaFleur is going to be changing teams, and if he is, which team is he going to be joining? Because even though he did hit free agency, there is a chance that he re-signs with Utah. I doubt that's going to be the case though, and it looks like he has signed. Now, where has Ricky LaFleur signed? Where is he taking his talents to? Well, he's going to sign a 1-year deal with Utah. He re-signed with Utah. You hit free agency and then re-signed with Utah. Ricky, why are you doing this? You are not using the brain compartments and the brain departments right now. $15 million on a 1-year deal, and he's returning to Utah. Say what you want about Ricky LaFleur, the man is loyal. He's stupid, but he's loyal. Now, it's really unfortunate to say, but I don't think anyone's really invested in the Utah Mammoths this season, because we know this team is going to be terrible. Ricky LaFleur, I have no clue why you decided to re-sign with this team. It makes absolutely no sense for you. You've dropped to elite potential. He's entering the final years of his career. It's absolutely heartbreaking you're going to finish it off here. Then again, how mad can I be at Ricky LaFleur for staying loyal to the soil? If he wants to stay in Utah his entire career, I can't really hate on him for that. And saying that, I also want you to win Stanley Cups, and you're not going to be able to do that here. Now, this is going to be a pretty quick season for Ricky LaFleur because we're just going to pretend it didn't happen. 27th in the entire league, a 39-38-5 record. The defense wasn't terrible though, 2.4 goals allowed per game. But then again, we were a terrible team, so what can I really guess up here? Regardless of the numbers Ricky LaFleur put up this season, it was an absolute disaster. 34 wins, 10 shows, a 933 and a 217. He wasn't the reason this team didn't see success. It was literally everyone else on this team. Now, before we head into the offseason, I guess it wouldn't hurt to take a look at the pending free agents. Has Ricky LaFleur signed an extension with the Utah Mammoth? It looks like he has. Ricky LaFleur is going to be returning to Utah one more time. Nah, you just hate to see it. I don't think I've ever been this upset about a player staying loyal to the soil. I just don't want Ricky LaFleur to be loyal to Utah. There is no reason he should be loyal to this team. They have done absolutely nothing for him. He's going to be signing a 2-year deal at $14.2 million, so he is starting to stack a little bit of the bread late in his career. And you know what? I can't really hate on him for doing that. Also, if you're curious on what Utah is going to be doing during the draft lottery, they're just going to be sticking at the 6th overall pick. Now, I don't think we've really been processing the injustice that the Utah Mammoth have been doing to our man Ricky LaFleur. By not building a competent team in front of him, you have been ruining his career. However, he has still been having a very historic career, and when we eventually take a look at his career numbers at the end of his career, you might be a little bit surprised on what this man was able to accomplish. But until then, we're going to keep on simulating and keep on praying for miracles. The miracle of this team winning another Stanley Cup. To be fair though, I think winning a Stanley Cup is more than a miracle. I think this team needs a miracle just to make the playoffs. Alright, I give up with understanding this team. The Utah Mammoth are Stanley Cup champions. Ricky LaFleur, you are the greatest goaltender of all time. The fact that you've been able to win multiple Stanley Cups with this franchise says quite a bit about you. Because I'm pretty sure every time you guys have won a Stanley Cup, right at the beginning of the season, I talk about how it's going to be an absolute dumpster fire for you guys and how you're not going to be able to accomplish anything. Then you'll finish 11th in the entire league and win a Stanley Cup because that makes so much sense. Ricky LaFleur, you are the greatest goaltender of all time. I don't care if you don't have the Vezinas. I don't care if you don't have the William Jennings. You have won all the big games, and you continue to win all the big games. 30 wins this season, 6 shots, a 925 and a 240, and once again, you've won a Stanley Cup. You've led the Utah Mammoths to a Stanley Cup victory. I don't know how you do it every season, but you just keep on doing it. When the lights are the brightest and you need a big-time performer, turn to Ricky LaFleur. 16 wins, 2 shots, a 938 and a 197. Once again, this man is going to be absolutely incredible when the Utah Mammoth needed him most, and he exceeded expectations. He might have dropped to a 90 overall, and he might be 37 years old, but Ricky LaFleur has a lot of amazing years left in him. The only question is Utah ever going to build around him? Like, you would think eventually they would accidentally build a good team around him, but that just hasn't happened. I thought by now they would make a mistake and accidentally bring in a good player or two, but they just haven't seemed to do that. They have won through being mid every season. But even though they're mid, they have Ricky LaFleur, and I guess he can single-handedly make them a Stanley Cup caliber team because he's done it 3 times so far. Now, at the beginning of every season, I basically just rip on the Utah Mammoth, talking about how they're not building a competent team in front of Ricky LaFleur. And then what do they do after that? Go on to win the Stanley Cup. So I'm not going to say anything bad about this team. Ricky LaFleur, do what you're capable of, which is apparently winning Stanley Cups with an incredibly mid team. So moving into this season, the Utah Mammoth are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. champions. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to finish 16th in the entire league, getting the final wildcard spot with a 41-30-11 record. Yeah, safe to say things are not off to a great start for the team. Now, if this team is sneaking into the wildcard with the team that we had, clearly Ricky LaFleur must have had a historic season. And is that the case? Well, I think we can say this might be the best season Ricky LaFleur's ever had. 33 wins, 6 shouts, a 937 and a 199. I think this might be the first time he's ever gone the entire regular season and not had a goals against above 2. He is finally below 2 when it comes to his goals against. Unfortunately, though, that wouldn't continue into the postseason. The New York Rangers are Stanley Cup champions. The Utah Mammoth are going to be falling in 7 games to the St. Louis Blues in the first round. Once again, Utah's losing in 7 games. It makes you really wonder, is Ricky LaFleur holding this team back when it comes to Game 7s? Because after this many Game 7 losses, I feel like he has to face a little bit of the blame. Like 90% of the time, it's the players in front of him. But this time, I think he's responsible. 3 wins, 2 shouts, a 910 and a 286. But I guess I shouldn't really put any of the blame on him. Out of the 3 wins he had, 2 of them were shutouts. Without this man, they wouldn't even have made it to Game 7. So Ricky LaFleur, I take back a bit of the disrespect. None of the Game 7 losses were your fault. So another season is in the books for Ricky LaFleur, but the question isn't where is Ricky LaFleur playing next season? The question is Ricky LaFleur going to be playing next season? Because we do have to remember he's getting up there in age, and it looks like he's going to be running it back for one more season. But where is he going to be playing next season? Well, I'm not 100% sure. Because his contract did just expire, and I'm not 100% sure if he is re-signed with the Utah Mammoth. I guess we should go and check. So when it comes to our pending free agents for next season, when we take a look at goaltenders, it looks like Ricky LaFleur is going to be returning for one more season with Utah. He doesn't want to leave the team, and you know what? I can respect that. Ricky's staying loyal to the soil. Utah, you don't really deserve Ricky LaFleur, but you know what? If he wants to stay in Utah, then he should stay in Utah. Okay, hold on. Was I just completely yapping? Because it says his contract is up after this season, meaning he is a pending free agent. Did I just completely miss his name? I might have just completely missed Ricky LaFleur's name, and it looks like I did. And the reason I missed his name is it says exact starter potential. I'm used to looking at exact franchise or even exact elite potential. Exact starter, it threw me off a little bit. So after getting through the re-sign phase, it looks like Utah isn't going to be extending Ricky LaFleur, so he is a pending free agent. Who is going to take a shot on Ricky LaFleur? Where is he going to be playing? Potentially his final season. Honestly, I kind of want him to re-sign with Utah. I just feel like Ricky LaFleur has to finish his career on Utah. He's been there since the very beginning. He's been the franchise cornerstone for a long time. If Ricky LaFleur leaves Utah, they won't be the same. And it looks like Ricky LaFleur has signed a contract with somebody. Now, where exactly is he going to be taking his talents? He's signing a 1-year deal at $16 million. And Ricky LaFleur is going to be taking his talents to another Central Division team. He's going to be joining the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm not really too familiar with the Blackhawks in the year 2046. Maybe they can win another Stanley Cup. I guess we're about to find out. So moving into the 2046-2047 season, Ricky LaFleur is going to be changing teams and joining the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Ricky LaFleur, he has played for a lot of mid teams, so he is familiar with mid teams, and he can definitely say Chicago is a very mid team. I'm not even too sure if Ricky's going to be able to save this team. He's still an 88 overall though, but this might be one of his toughest tasks yet. Now, if I were to describe Ricky LaFleur's career in one word, I would say consistent. And I mean consistent in the fact that regardless of what team he has in front of him, he'll still find a way to finish about 10th or 11th in the entire league. I think if you take a look at the average standings for Ricky LaFleur's teams throughout his entire career, it would be around 11th or 12th. They had a couple seasons where they were pretty good. Then he had a handful of seasons where they were really bad. But once you average it all out, we're right in the middle. Ricky LaFleur is right in the middle. He is on a mid team that doesn't ever give him support. LaFleur, 36 wins, 8 shots, a 928 and a 221. These are average numbers from Ricky LaFleur. Like, nothing is really surprising me here. And then when it comes to the postseason, one thing is staying consistent. We're going to be an absolute disappointment in the playoffs. We're getting swept to the St. Louis Blues in the second round. Chicago really wasn't able to do too much. And with us getting swept in the second round, I'm not really expecting any crazy numbers from Ricky LaFleur. And I would be 100% right in that prediction. A 904 and a 316. Ricky LaFleur, I think your career might be up. At 39 years old, LaFleur isn't the player he used to be. I think we just have to accept the fact that he's going to be retiring. But whether or not Ricky LaFleur retires right here isn't really up to me. He has to make that call himself. And is he going to be retiring? It doesn't look like it. He wants to run it back for one more. So at 39 years old, Ricky LaFleur is the oldest goaltender in the league, but he's still looking to win a couple more Stanley Cups. He's still an 89 overall. He's still a serviceable goaltender. But who would you rather go with? The 39-year-old Ricky LaFleur or the 23-year-old who has high elite potential and still has tons of room for growth? Obviously, the correct answer is Ricky LaFleur because he has that dog in him. So let's see which team's going to be signing him. So we're a week into free agency and it looks like Ricky LaFleur is going to be signing a 2-year deal at $9.6 million. But which team is going to be bringing Ricky LaFleur to the team? Well, it looks like it's going to be the New Jersey Devils. Ricky's finally going to be joining an Eastern Conference team. He was able to win a couple Stanley Cups over in the West. Now it's time for him to do it over in the East. Okay, thankfully Ricky LaFleur is getting some money from this team because they are clearly not spending any of it. This is the worst forward core I have ever seen. When it comes to the defense, we have Brody Binnington as the best player. Nah, this team is terrible. They are just garbage from top to bottom. Ricky LaFleur, you're not saving this team. I'm sorry, but we're basically just wasting a season of your career. This is likely going to be one of the few seasons where Ricky LaFleur is going to finish with a losing record because there is just no way he's going to have a winning record with this team and before they win a Stanley Cup because that's probably going to happen. Now, I think it might just be easier if we sort the standings by reverse. Obviously, the New Jersey Devils are not making the playoffs, but maybe this team actually did. 14th in the entire league is way better than I thought it would be. I thought this team was going to be dead last, and I didn't even think it would be close. Because, like, we all saw that New Jersey Devils team. There is nothing good about this team. I cannot name one good thing about this team other than Ricky LaFleur, of course. 31 wins, 5 shots, a 926 and a 245. It's the consistency from Ricky LaFleur. This man has been elite from season 1 until season 22, or maybe even season 23. I don't even know how many seasons we've simulated with this man, but he has become the greatest goaltender of all time. But at 40 years old, I don't know how much more Ricky LaFleur has left. I would not be overly surprised if he called it a career here. So let's go ahead and simulate up to the retired players page. Is Ricky LaFleur going to be calling it a career at 40 years old, or is he looking to run it back for one more season? He's not done. Ricky LaFleur just refuses to retire. You know what? I can't hate on the man for that. He's still producing at a high level, so why not? I guess I also should look at some of the other goaltenders here, like 76 overall, 75 overall, 66 overall, 77 overall. Yeah, I take it back. Ricky LaFleur is a long ways away from retirement. Then again, we only have 2 more years left in the rebuild. We're in 2048 right now. We're about to reach the 25-year mark. So yeah, at the very max, Ricky LaFleur only has 2 years left. Now, I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit of a shame that this is how Ricky LaFleur is going to finish out his career. On a terrible team that basically has no good players whatsoever, he's just kind of stuck here. The New Jersey Devils gave him a bag to come here, so you know what? He accepted that bag. He's not going to turn down a bunch of money. He came to New Jersey. He's getting paid to be here. And that's really the only reason he's here, because if he had another choice, he wouldn't be on this team. Because just look at this team. Like, they don't stand a chance at winning a Stanley Cup. So we have 2 years until we hit the 25-year mark. Is Ricky LaFleur going to retire at the end of the season, or is he going to be forced to retire next season in 2050? Well, there's only one way to figure that out. Let's simulate 2049. Now, this season is actually very interesting, and not because we did anything during the postseason. Obviously, we were one of the worst teams in the entire league, but let's look at some of the worst teams in the entire league, starting with the Utah Mammoth, one of the teams that Ricky LaFleur played for, and then we have the Chicago Blackhawks in 28th, another team Ricky LaFleur played for. Then we have the New Jersey Devils, the current team Ricky LaFleur is playing for. Are you noticing a trend here? Bro has only played for the poorest managed teams. Every team that this man has played for, they have been a terrible team at asset management. Why would you build a competent team around a superstar goaltender? That doesn't make any sense. And as you can see, we cannot see Ricky LaFleur's name here, so I think that means he did retire. Ricky LaFleur is going to be calling it a career this season. The league just lost one of the greats. I don't think we're really comprehending how great he was. The New Jersey Devils are also going to jump from 6-1 and get the first overall pick. Chicago's getting the second, and Utah's getting the third. No, you can't make that up. The last team that Ricky LaFleur played for is getting the first overall pick. The second last team he played for is getting the second overall pick. And the very first team he played for, being the third last team he played for, is getting the third overall pick. You can't make that up. This man has played for some of the worst franchises over the course of his career. It doesn't make any sense. But what does make a lot of sense is calling Ricky LaFleur the GOAT. Where is he? Okay, Ricky LaFleur apparently is not retired. Did he get traded or something? Like, where on earth is Ricky LaFleur? I have no clue. We should go find him though. Okay, now this absolutely breaks my heart. Ricky LaFleur was traded over to the St. Louis Blues this season. After playing 47 games with the New Jersey Devils, they traded him at the trade deadline. He was sent over to St. Louis where he picked up 4 wins and 1 shutout with a .927 and a .242. But this doesn't matter because Ricky LaFleur has dropped in overall so much. He is now in the AHL. They have sent my king Ricky LaFleur to the AHL, and I will not simulate a single minute with him playing AHL minutes. That's just not how we're ending today's video. So we're going to call Ricky LaFleur's career right now. I am not simulating the final season only to watch our king play in the AHL. He deserves better than that. So when looking at the historic career that Ricky LaFleur had, he's one of one, the greatest of all time. 806 wins. He is shattering the win record. 146 shutouts. He's going to be breaking that record as well. Over his career, he posted a .927 and a .232. Name me a better goaltender than Ricky LaFleur. In the postseason, he picked up 136 wins. He had 25 shutouts, a .932 and a .222. So when the lights were the brightest, he found a way to step up every time. He knew how to perform when the lights were the brightest. And because of that, he's walking away with a couple of awards. He is going to be a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, a 3-time Vezina winner, a 2-time William Jennings Trophy recipient. He's picking up 2 Ted Lindsays as well, and the final award is going to be his first award, which is the Calder in his rookie season. Ricky LaFleur is one of one, the greatest goaltender of all time. Nobody could stop that man. Like, just to emphasize how great Ricky LaFleur was, games played by a goaltender, he's number 1 with 1,786. When it comes to wins, he's first with 806. When it comes to shutouts, he's first, 146. What couldn't this man do? When everything was said and done, when it came to Ricky LaFleur's career, he is going to go down as the greatest goaltender of all time. He accomplished feats that people didn't believe were possible. No goaltender before Ricky LaFleur was able to win 700 games. He decided to go out there and win 806. Not only did he win 700 games, but he won 800 games right after that. Ricky LaFleur is a GOAT in his own right. If only they built competent teams around him. If the Utah Mammoth just learned how to rebuild the team, Ricky LaFleur would be a 10-time Stanley Cup champion, and you can't change my mind on that.